So hello, Internet, and welcome to another episode of the Riley and Friends podcast. I am Riley, because that makes sense, and I'm joined by my friends Corinne and Gabe. And, for this show, we generally talk about movies, TV, games, books, music. Did I say music? If I didn't, then we do music, too. Just whatever we've watched recently or experienced recently. I'm tired. It's cold.
It's
but
very cold.
Is there something that y'all have seen or listened to or read or experienced lately they want to start off with?
Many things, in fact.
Okay.
But honestly, I think Corinne should lead this one because I heard about something and I watched it a while ago. And somebody else experienced it now, so...
Yesterday, I watched Saltburn with some friends. It was actually a trauma bonding exercise. Because one of our friends wanted to watch it. I knew nothing about it, essentially. And one of our friends had watched it, and then everyone else was just like, they had heard horrible things. Like, not horrible as in bad, but like horrible as in, oh my God, this is gonna, what are we watching?
Was it the person who'd seen it before's idea? Let me guess.
Yeah. I think he probably mentioned it to the person who wanted to watch it, and then we all, and the person who had already watched it, he was like, it was actually, I liked it better on the second viewing, and I'm like, oh, interesting. So Saltburn, beautiful cinematic movie. It's shot in a gorgeous manner. The story is tight. You hate every single character.
Yeah.
Everyone is awful.
Everyone. They're all horrible.
They're all terrible. The only one that's like I kind of feel bad for, is the sister in this scenario, Venetia. She's the only one who I feel didn't really deserve any of this, product of her upbringing. But basically, the plot of the story is a guy who's at Oxford gets in with kind of like a richer crowd. He seems to be from a lower class background. They're on scholarship. Most of his clothes are secondhand, things like that. And he becomes infatuated with this guy that is like really wealthy.
Also, clearly the most gorgeous person ever.
Yes.
As such, he's played by one of the most gorgeous actors ever.
Yeah. He's incredibly attractive, like just this very attractive man. And our protagonist is played by Barry
Kerrigan, I think it is.
Kerrigan? Yeah,
he's the guy that if you see a creepy little man doing creepy little man things, he's the guy.
Yeah, he's a good creepy little man. He's just a small, creepy twink of a dude, and you're like, yep. What are you doing over there, man?
Something, and I like it.
One of the few characters I liked in Eternals was played by Barry.
I know who you're talking about just from that description.
Yep. Yeah. Is he small? Exactly. Is he kind of creepy? It's Barry. Which is to say, fantastic actor. He does a really great job. Like, wonderful range.
Yeah, this part could not have been played by anybody else.
No, he does it so well. Which is not to pigeonhole him as the creepy guy, but he does it so well.
He's so good at it, though.
He's so good at being creepy. Just, I don't know how he does it.
Resting creepy face.
Yeah, he has resting creepy face. He does. He just has this look on his face, and you're like, is it just your face, man? Does your face just look creepy? Is that it? My camera's a little off. It's bugging me. Let me fix it.
One of those where
it's okay. I look like I'm in the sun right now.
He's going to talk to someone, and it's like a dialogue option comes up, and it's like, good thing, bad thing, evil thing. What the fuck did you just say thing?
Yeah. So this character who's, seemingly like lower class, in on scholarship at Oxford, but incredibly smart, falls for this guy who is like the hottest, most popular, richest guy around. Like he is the one everyone wants to be with, but he has a history of being kind of like a player of like, he's even told early on in the story that, he may be interested in someone now, but he won't be interested for long. He's flighty. He goes from person to person. He's just that kind of guy. And so Barry's character, Oliver, finds a way to get in with this crowd with Felix, the guy he's infatuated with. And through a series of events that I won't spoil, ends up getting invited to stay literally at Felix's castle because his family are as rich and as like noble to have a castle. Like,
as possible, basically.
Yeah, like a full ass castle. Like one of them, like their dad is knighted. He's like Sir Blankety Blank, like, and that's not, I would say, incredibly uncommon in the UK, but it's also not common. Like, not everybody's a sir and not everybody has a castle. Like when they were talking about a castle, I was like, oh, like a big manor house? Are we talking like a big manor house? And it's like, no, this is legitimately a castle.
The movie is named after this place.
Yeah, the movie is named after the castle, which is called Saltburn. And you're like, oh, they're this kind of rich people. Like, whole other realm of rich people.
Mm-hmm.
And so over the summer, he kind of works his way into this family. And I don't want to say too much more.
Okay.
It's kind of like the Real Housewives of Brightburn. Like that's like he's become in with all the people with the way they talk and gossip, and he knows how to speak their language in a way that gets him invited in.
Yeah, he basically, like, he knows how to play people very, very well. He, like, plays everyone like a fiddle, essentially, to make himself indispensable to this family in various ways. And I guess the only thing I'll say that spoils anything at all is that he then systematically destroys them. And I loved it. He is not a good person. He is not he is a villain. Like, he is a bad
He's
person.
Also not hiding it, which is fun.
And he's not hiding it. He doesn't think he's a good person. So, like, none of this is him being like, oh, this is the right thing to do. It's him being like, no, I'm going to do this because I want to.
In fact, the last scene of the movie is the best glorious I'm a winning villain thing I've ever seen in any movie.
Yes, the last scene is amazing. I was so ecstatic with the last scene. It was glorious. And it's such a good movie because it doesn't try and paint him like a good guy.
No, not at all. It should have been a little bit more.
Yeah, like because a lot of movies that are, we'll just call him a sociopath for the sake of not delving too deeply into exactly what's going on. A lot of movies that have like a sociopathic character that is like doing something like this do try to make them sympathetic in some way. And like while the beginning of the movie seems to be making him sympathetic, by the time you get to the end, you're like, no. No.
Before the end, there are a lot of times where you're just like,
yeah.
That's just a crime on so many levels, what you just did, sir.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, I'd say
I need to see this movie.
Halfway,
sold.
Like halfway through the movie, you know that this man is not a good man.
Like, there's one or two specific scenes where he can't come back from a line cross.
Yeah. And after he crossed that line, you're like, okay, I don't know where this movie's going, but I am in for the ride. I was like playing a video game while I was watching because we were doing like a watch party. And like a quarter of the way in, I completely stopped playing the video game because I'm like, what is going to happen? You have really drawn me in because, like, originally I was like, oh, yeah, whatever, I'm going to do something else while I watch because I have ADD. And, it takes a lot to completely hold my attention. But it did. And it was such a well-done movie.
There's one scene, I'm not going to say what happens, but he confronts one of the rich people to kind of get them to be a pawn in his scheme.
Yeah.
And he does so in a way that is the one thing no one other than him would have ever thought to do. He like wakes the guy up, and that's all I'm going to say is that the reaction from the surprise party is like, you're not even human for thinking this is how you control someone.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and it is. And I don't know. It's one of those movies where like, I think I would love to go back and watch it again. Like it
seems made for that.
Yeah. Well, and like the guy who was watching with us who said he enjoyed it even more the second time. Like he liked it the first time.
He also wanted to watch other people react to the horrible things.
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of my favorite types of genre of reaction videos, like from like a few years back, was like making non-gamers watch the beginning of The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes, it's exactly like that.
Or like the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones.
That was my favorite one.
Like when I was sitting on the couch watching with my parents, I'm like,
it's exactly like that.
like, yeah. Yeah, they're gonna fuck them up.
The
Yeah.
funniest is like my parents asked me what movie I watched, and I was like, "Do I say the name of this, knowing that they're gonna probably watch it if I do?"
Yeah, because this movie
You
is
might not
so
like it.
fucked up. Like, it is really fucked up, but it's really well done. And like, I think there's this like line that movies can straddle, and whether they do is whether I like them or not. Like, I enjoy a fucked up movie. I enjoy a dark movie, but it has to be well done. If it's just fucked up for the sake of being fucked up, then I'm like, I don't really care. You know, like, I'm not in it for the shock value. I'm in it for you to tell me a story where I'm like on the edge of my seat, you know, and Saltburn really does it.
Yeah. I watched a similar movie. I'm only bringing this up because does anyone know who Mia Goth is?
Yes.
X and Pearl, and most recently Infinity Pool, which is probably the one movie I watched where I was eating and I like put the food down. I'm just like, I cannot eat while watching this. This is disturbing. And it wasn't like it was gory. It was what you're describing. It was the edge of the seat character acting, like plot device where I'm like, this is the most fucked up thing I've ever seen in my life. Go on.
Yeah. Keep telling me more about this fucked up thing. I can't stop.
If you can see Infinity Pool, it's another one of those.
Yeah, it's on my list. It's been on my list for a while, so I'll have to take some time to watch it.
If I can,
I was just gonna recommend one last thing. If
go ahead.
You've watched Saltburn and liked it, I highly recommend Fresh.
I haven't seen that. I need to.
Fresh is incredibly good. It's another incredibly well acted character piece that is so fucked up. It does have what I would say is that it's a critique on the modern dating scene and also cannibalism.
I'm in.
Yeah, it's so good. Like, I love Fresh. So when I was going into this movie and I'd heard a lot of things about him, I was going into Saltburn. I'm like, well, I loved Fresh, so I think I'll be fine.
He does not commit cannibalism, but you wouldn't have been shocked if he did.
Yeah, there's no cannibalism in Saltburn, but you wouldn't be shocked if there was after you see everything he does do.
She also made this director's only made one other movie. It was Promising Young Woman. I don't know if anyone saw that.
Yep, I saw that.
Which is similar-ish in the way that it's laid out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a great movie.
I haven't watched it, but I've heard good things. Yeah.
It's a revenge flick. It's one of those. It's a straight up revenge flick where from the very beginning she's like, I'm gonna fuck some people up, and she does.
So I was gonna kind of piggyback because I also experienced a piece of media that's kind of fucked up as well that I want to recommend, and it is the books. I've only read the first book, but it's a trilogy of books. The first one's called The Poppy War. It is, when I told one of the Discord groups that I was reading, I was just like, oh, I'm going to start reading The Poppy War. I've heard really good things. And they're like, practice, like, get some fluffy reading in between because it's, like, kind of fucked up. Like, just because. So the premise is, it's based on, like, loosely based, like, fantasy version of, like, kind of like China's history with the war with Japan, like, what is it, the Sino? I never know how to pronounce it. Sino-Japanese war. So basically, there's this one girl who's an orphan. She's a war orphan that, due to the law of the land, she had to be adopted by someone that didn't have 3 kids. But, which is a good idea in theory because, people are adopting orphans, but that family didn't love her. So she's resentful. She's from the South. She has darker colored skin, so she's already ostracized. So she gets this idea to, study for this, test that a lot of the noble kids take. And she tests into the top 1%, she can get out of that family, get out of an arranged marriage that she doesn't want to be, potential arranged marriage that she doesn't want to be in. That would only gain her family power rather than her. And so she tests into the top 1%. She gets into, like, a military academy on a scholarship. And then she goes there and just, she's an outcast even there too. And from there, she kind of starts to, tries to find ways to fight back, tries to find ways to, you know, be able to adapt and survive within this institution so that she doesn't get kicked out. Eventually, a war breaks out with not Japan, and you know, she's called in, and basically, sorry, there's a lot that happens in this book, so it's like I'm trying to like just get you like the cliff notes, and basically like it delves in themes of you know, propaganda. It delves in themes of you know, not of how dangerous it is for like a whole nation, which that and the antagonist army of Japan, like, you know, can view people as, or not Japan, I'm sorry, it can view a whole people as lesser, as inhuman, as thing. But then that also turns it around and says, if you do that too, that's fucked up too. But it's a dark, complex book, series of books. I only started book 2 like today, but like it's riveting, like edge of your seat, kind of like it's not going to go as far as it is, and it's going to go further. And it's like I'm sorry if I'm like butchering that explanation, but like
I've heard of the Poppy Wars before. Cody read it, and he was as he was reading it, it was one of the times when we were like carpooling frequently, and so he would just be like telling me like random bits and pieces and be like, this book is so fucked up and dark, but it is so well written. Like it is it's so good.
Is this a true story or no?
What's up?
Is this a true story or no?
No, it's technically a fantasy novel with like it's not actually China, but it's referencing it takes place like
it's kind of like a historical fantasy, allegorical fantasy, like
and it's like the island nation of Mugen is invading, and it's like, well, that's technically Japan, and then they even make fun of Hespera, which is supposed to be the West, and it's like, oh yeah, but a few people from Hesperia, they stayed and they wanted to, you know, take pictures and document things, and they're like, they think that's helping?
Sounds about right.
Yeah sounds like us. No, I've heard really good things about it, and wasn't it the debut novel for the author who wrote it? Like,
yes,
so like it's an incredibly strong first showing for an author.
It's a 500-page just, you know, not a wasted moment. You know, it just builds and builds tension, like, because you attach to the character of Rin, but she's also, you know, shows early on she's kind of got some problems, and it's kind of without saying anything else, this it goes places. It takes you on a journey that it's kind of like a nightmare, but you kind of can't help but experience it just for the sake of, wow, this is really intense.
I usually like those kind of things.
That's why I'm recommending it. Like, hey, this book fucked me up, and I think it'll fuck you up too.
I think it's funny that we all came in with that kind of shit.
To recommend another book that has fucked me up, and I can't finish it yet, but I'm really enjoying it, and I'm probably going to go back to it soon. Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle. It was his first like fully published horror novel. He did like a self-published horror novel before that, but yes, this is Chuck Tingle of the Chuck Tinglers erotica things. He is a well-known erotica author, but he's also a horror author, and he publishes them all under the name Chuck Tingle because he does not separate any of his work. It is all art, and I'm super for that. Camp Damascus is fantastic, but it's a lot about religious trauma, and as somebody who has some religious trauma, I was like reading it, I was enjoying it, and I'm like the tension just ratcheted up, and I'm like, I need to put this down for a while, and I intend to go back to it because it's really good. But essentially, Camp Damascus is about this young woman who is, I believe, in her late teens, early 20s, but is kind of stunted in her like emotional growth, because she is from like a hyper religious family, and she's not like technically part of a cult, but she's pretty much part of a cult, you know, like this is a cult, you know. You don't think of it as a cult, but it's a cult. And
do people say any cringy things after you describe it?
yeah. And so she is like heavily autistic coded, and she is also queer. But that is something that she's really struggling with, because like per her religious doctrine, that would be a sin. And so she is like really like she's always had the problem of asking too many questions, because that's just who she is. She wants to understand things. She researches things. She's always looking in and wanting more information, which is a problem when you're in a cult. Cults don't like people who just keep wanting to be like, but why? But why? What about this thing? I'm going to go do a ton of research about this thing, you know, that you said, you know, because that's interesting to me. But when you dig too deep in a cult, it doesn't pan out, you know. So all that's happening, and that's like the basis for the story. But then this character starts seeing what she believes to be a demon, like this like kind of like feminine looking person who is like gaunt with like stringy black hair, and like seems to be following her. Like first she sees her when she's on like a retreat with some of the other like people her age, like they're at like a waterfall doing like the like trust jumps, you know, like into the water. And she sees this woman standing on like a part of this rocky cliff face where like someone shouldn't be standing. Like it's not like a safe place to be. And she's like, it seems like she's the only one who can see this person. And, you know, because she tries to point it out to a friend, and the friend's like, oh, I don't see anyone. And then she's like, she must have left, you know. I mean, maybe she was in a clearer area than I thought she was. It was just a trick of the foundation of the rock, you know. And then like later she sees the woman again, and the basically about the time I stopped, because the tension was just racketing up too far, there's a thing that happens that I'm not going to talk about, because it really starts to get to the crux of the story. But she's at a party and she sees the woman again, the demon, and one of the teens at the party dies. Like they had gone into like a closet to do like a 7 minutes of heaven thing, and then one of the teens get their neck like snapped, like flipped around, snapped, and like the other person who's in the closet with them like starts screaming, and then like the door opens and the body falls out, and like this young woman who like saw the demon go into the door and like was like screaming, you know, she was like trying to warn people, but everyone just thought she was like having a panic attack or something. And then somebody dies in the closet, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? This demon is not a figment of her imagination. Somebody just died in that closet. And so it's like this whole thing. And you learn that there's a camp called Camp Damascus, where certain like teens in their community are sent, usually because like they're acting up or like something's going on. And you like Camp Damascus is definitely a I don't know how in depth it gets, because I had to stop around this part. It's definitely like a reference to like a I just forgot the word.
Conversion.
A conversion.
I was gonna say, it sounds like that.
Yeah.
I was just like,
yeah.
If it seemed to fit.
Yeah,
I mean,
a conversion camp, like conversion therapy. And so yeah, it's a really good book. It's really fucked up. And I think the reason why it's so hard to read is because you're so in this young woman's head, and like you're with her as she's kind of unraveling like everything she's ever believed or everything she's ever thought she believed. And that's the kind of sticking point, is because I'll just say this. not everything is as it seems when you start the book. You start the book and you get to like, like this far in, and then suddenly like a big thing happens and you're like, what the fuck? What the fuck happens at Camp Damascus? So yeah, incredibly good. If you have religious trauma, it takes some breaks. I started reading it in the summer. I still haven't gone back. I'll probably be going back soon because I'm in a better place for it. But it's really well done. It's just,
I'm interested.
Yeah, it's rough. It's because you're so in the young woman's head. Like, I think that's why it's like so hard. It's because there's no separation between you and the character. So you kind of feel like you're experiencing all this like directly through her, which I have to say is a really like interesting way of writing it, is that being so inside her head. But yeah, more fucked up media for everybody.
If we need something to buffer in between those, I listened to an audiobook from somebody that is, this is the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
So it's Felicia Day from The Guild. She wrote an audiobook series called Third Eye. Essentially, the premise is it's about like a sacred chosen one, witch or wizard person with powers who gets built up to solve and stop the big evil guy. And at the very last challenge, she fucks it up horribly and loses.
Oh.
And the story actually takes place after that, as she's like everyone's least favorite person on Earth because the world ended and it's her fault. And it's hilarious, and it's got an incredibly good voice cast.
That sounds good.
That sounds fantastic.
Another in the realm of like podcast audio drama, for anybody who hasn't listened to the Magnus Archives, highly recommend. If you are a horror fan, if you are a like well-written characters fan, if you like to see like a queer romance actually occur, like it's great. It's great.
I thought you were gonna be like, if you like to breathe air and eat food.
Yeah, if you like to breathe air and eat food, you'll like it. Magnus Archives, fantastic. Magnus Archives is a complete story. Like, the arc has been completed. They're like in theory releasing like a sequel, which is supposed to come out really soon. I think maybe even tomorrow, sometime next week. The first episode was released, but called the Magnus Protocol. But it's one of those stories where in the beginning, you're very much in the dark about what's really going on, but it unfolds in a way that really works. Because even though in the beginning, when they started the podcast, they didn't really know where they were going. They didn't know they were doing this big branching story. They very quickly figured it out and were able to really drop the plot lines along the way. Lots of incredibly fucked up stuff, lots of spooky stuff. Really great for like, if you love soundscapes, because like the audio production is fantastic. Like, they have like all of this, like as you're listening, you really kind of feel like you're there.
What's it called again? Because this sounds like all my shit.
Yeah, it's called the Magnus Archives.
Magnus Archives.
And the basic premise is that there is this institute called the Magnus Archives and the Magnus Institute that investigates paranormal occurrences, specifically in the UK, because they're a UK-based organization. The Magnus Institute investigates. The Magnus Archives is just where like the information goes after it's been investigated. The Magnus Institute doesn't necessarily try to stop paranormal activity. Like, it's not like a Ghostbuster situation. It's more of just like a containing the damage kind of thing, because like if too many people find out about this fucked up stuff, it would cause a panic. So they're kind of just like, all right, so that weird thing happened. Time to kind of clean up the mess and try and stop it from happening again. But like, that's not the main goal.
Sounds like the Loki series, if anyone's seen it.
Yeah.
Loki's fucked up thing over here and over here. Pick one and fix it.
Yeah, and fix one of these fucked up things, or at least minimize the damage, please. And all the characters that we follow are in the archives, which is just where all the records from past reports go. So like people from the Institute might have been sent to go investigate this. This is what they gathered, like the information they gathered. Or like people came to the Institute to report things. This is what they said. And you start with the main character, Jonathan Sims, who is the new archivist, taking over the old archivist who has passed. And he is pissed off because the old archivist didn't seem to have a great system of organization. And so he's trying to organize all these disparate files into some sense of anything. And everything's like paper files. And he's like, it is not the Dark Ages anymore. Why isn't anything digital? It's not even recorded. And so like he realizes that he's having trouble getting things recorded digitally. Like it's not, there's corruption keeps happening in the files. And he's like, okay, fine. I'll do it with manual recording. So like he has like a tape recorder that he starts using to document files. And then like he's organizing them as he goes, and he's reading aloud these stories that are from all these different people, all these different events. And in the beginning, it's just an anthology of like, this event happened, this event happened, this event happened. But then you start to see the through lines, and you start to get to know the other characters at the archive, and you realize there's something much bigger going on than what it seems. And it's so good. It's incredibly well acted. The soundscapes are great. It is like, I listened to the entire, like all 5 seasons last year, like basically straight through. So
there's a lot of it, I assume.
Yeah, there's 5 seasons. But you can really kind of chew through them. Like it's, because once you get started, you really want to hear more. Okay, so I'm going to say something that's a little bit of a spoiler, but I'm not going to tell you anything about how it happens. So like, it won't be as much of a spoiler. At the end of season 4, the world ends. But there's a season 5.
Okay.
And it's amazing. The apocalypse is not the end. Like the apocalypse happens in season 4. There's a season 5.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about it, because there's not a lot of stories that are like the what now. You know, if in a series the world ends and that's not like the start of the story, that's usually the end. In this case, it wasn't the end. It was like, oh, and then the world ends? Okay, so it's over? No, it's not.
Yeah, third eye, it's the beginning of the story when that happens.
Yeah, so it's like usually either that is the beginning or the end of the story. It is not like I wouldn't say the middle, but like the pre-climax. I don't know, because it's like, it's not the end, but it's not the beginning, and it's not the middle.
Not going to call that edging. Not going to call that edging.
Yeah, it's like they're edging. But yeah, incredibly good, well acted, well written, and just a joy. And it's so many fucked up things are in it. Like it's so fucked up. It's so good. You'll learn fears you never thought about before is what you'll do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, where are you in Tears of the Kingdom, Riley? I must know.
I just finished the 5th temple. All right, okay. I got the Sage of Spirit, Minoru.
Okay.
So I have my Robo Companion now.
I was gonna say, you got the robot shrine.
I have the Robo Companion. And I just investigated the Deku tree.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yes. So you know, I've done a lot of the more side quests in the meantime. I've done all the Skyview Towers. I've done all the...
It sounds like you're pretty much at the end of what can be done.
Yeah, I mean, I still have other side quests. There are other things to explore, but, you know, like, I did the main side quest in the deep involving the what was it? The clan. The
ninja boss is hilarious.
Yeah, he's such a doof, and I love him. But I'm at, and then I've done all the pictogram. What are they called? But like you know the bright light pictures.
The story memory things.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I've done all of those, so I know that someone is a something, and
Did you get the Master Sword? That's the question.
I'm not there yet. No.
Okay.
But
you have a theory about where that is, though.
Yes.
Okay.
Like the day future is like, oh, it's here, and oh.
I told you the story about how I found it, right?
No.
I crashed a spaceship into it on accident.
Yeah, you accidentally like sped run the game. You weren't even trying to speed run it, and you accidentally crossed a spaceship into it.
So the day future is like, oh, you've already. Oh, okay. I was like, yep, it's right here.
The developers knew that someone would break their game.
Yeah. You make it so we can build spaceships. Somebody's gonna do it.
Yeah, somebody's gonna get there.
It's great.
So I want to say there's a game that I talked about a while ago that was in beta. It has had its full release. Undying. It's the one where you play as the mother who's been bitten by a zombie in the zombie outbreak and is trying to like protect and also train her son because she doesn't know how long she's going to be, a viable guardian. Right. And like the big point of the game is that as you grow weaker, you should be teaching your son how to care for himself because like you're literally not going to be able to do things because you're like the zombie infection is taking away your strength, it's taking away your mind, you're getting weaker as in theory your son is getting stronger, but you could just choose to leave your son at home and not teach him anything and then you're fucked. But it just had its full release like a few weeks ago and it's really good. Everyone look up Undying. I'm not sure all the platforms it's on. I know it's on Steam. Not to be confused with Clive Barker's Undying, which is a different game, which Discord seems to always think I'm playing when I'm playing this Undying.
I didn't even know there was a Clive Barker Undying.
I don't even know what that is, but it's not
so many Undyings.
Yeah, but
how many really Undyings?
They're surrounding the house.
It's really good. It has some really like interesting gameplay if you like resource management, kind of like building a base in the sense of like upgrading your stuff. But also the mechanic of your main character is getting weaker and you have to rely on your son more and more as the game goes on because you're getting progressively more fucked up is a really good mechanic because like a lot of games that have like a companion character, that companion character is kind of useless because they're not meant to impede the like you playing the game, like you're supposed to be the hero. But this game is kind of the opposite. Like the son does start as useless, but like by even mid-game, like he's becoming better than you are, which is the point, assuming you're playing it in the way it's intended. Like I said, you cannot do that. I don't know what happens I assume you lose because eventually you're just going to die and then you get to restart. But
I was going to say, does the game end when she dies?
Yeah, the game ends when the main character dies, Ang Ling, or it ends when your son Cody dies. So like your game will end if either of them die. But there are other options. Apparently Cody can run away. Apparently content warning for self-harm. Apparently Ang Ling can commit suicide. Like it can get dark. But it's an interesting take on a zombie apocalypse, very much in the vein of the Walking Dead series where you are taking care of Clementine and then eventually you are Clementine. So I don't know if it gets to a point in the game. I'm not sure yet because I haven't beaten it, but I don't know if this game gets to the point where you're just playing as Cody because
that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that happens. Like, I haven't gotten to that point, but like, it's possible that could happen because in the beginning, like at any point you can leave Cody home alone, and go out by yourself. And I wonder if eventually it switches to where you can leave your mom home and you play as Cody. Like, because I think that would be really cool. I don't know if it does that, but highly recommend. It's from like an indie studio. And it's really well done. It has some good voice acting. and it's still it has some bugs now and then because it's still very new, but they've added a lot more story, and a lot more that you can do in the full release than what was in the pre-release.
It's an interesting point because I thought about like 2023's incredibly strong video game year.
Yeah.
And like 2024, what are we gonna have? Like, mostly I'll be playing backlog. I'll be real.
Yeah.
I was tempted to be like, so this video is what we're looking forward to in 2024. But instead I was thinking,
More like revisiting.
I need I still haven't played that many games from 2020.
Yeah.
Between Baldur's Gate and Zelda, that took all my time.
I have Baldur's Gate 3 loaded on my PS5, ready to go, but I want to beat Tears first.
You should, because you'll never go back otherwise.
Yeah, I still haven't played Baldur's Gate. I will eventually. I mean, Bevan has it. I could play it at any point. I'd say one of the games that I'm looking forward to that doesn't have like an official release date yet is this game called Worship that I
haven't even heard of that.
Yeah, I backed it on Kickstarter or BackerKit, or like a crowdfunding site last year, and it is like a cult simulator, so kind of like Cult of the Lamb, but
Which just put out an update and it's so good.
Yeah, the Sins of the Flesh update. I need to play Sins of the update because I haven't played yet. But yeah, it's kind of like a similar idea to Cult of the Lamb, except there's a lot more emphasis on like your followers and like your what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like the world is like, the world itself is like procedurally generated. So like I think you get a new like world each time, but like you can like fight other like religions that are like following different gods, and like you could convert people, and so like it is similar to Cult of the Lamb, but like it's a very different stylistically game, and like it's a roguelike, and like you get to do these like great like rituals that do like insane things. And so like it's definitely something like it was crowdfunding before Cult of the Lamb came out and became popular, but like I hope what I'm hoping is that it does enough different from Cult of the Lamb that doesn't get called a Cult of the Lamb like knockoff, because it's like they were crowdfunding before Cult of the Lamb came out. It just takes a long time to make a video game.
And indie game especially,
yeah.
It's like a Dread and God, I'm trying to remember what that movie was. This is gonna hurt my soul. It's a movie I really like too. Dread and
RoboCop.
No, Raid. The Raid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because when those two came out at the same time, everyone's like, one's copying the other. It's like, that's not how movies work.
Yeah.
At least when they're released like that close.
Yeah, like if they're both released at essentially the same time, it can't. They're not copying each other. Or like in the case of a video game, like if one's already conceptualized and in production,
right?
When another one comes out, clearly it's not copying it. It was already conceptualized and in production, which is the case of Worship. But
it just says something about our society.
Yeah.
That there were two studios that are like, let's make a game about cults.
Yeah, it really does say something. Let's make a game about cults.
Good, bad? I don't know.
Probably not good.
Probably not.
But that's the world we live in.
Yeah, so that's a game I'm looking forward to. I'm not sure if it might be coming out in this year, either that or early next year. I don't remember the dev roadmap, but it looks good. Look it up on Steam. It's called Worship. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and I just love bullshit like that. Like one of my favorite games of the year was Dredge. So
that was
Dredge was fun. It was a fun game.
Yeah, Dredge was great.
Those are the kind of indie games I like. The really weird takes on very simple things, but you can take it and make it a way different way.
Yeah,
it's a fishing game. Oh, okay, but it also has eldritch beings.
It's an eldritch horror fishing game.
Have you guys heard about the Pokemon with Guns game that's coming out?
No.
That's so
Yes.
Oh,
It's
that's
I think it's going to be on Game Pass.
Yeah, it is.
so
I'm like,
funny.
I'm so tempted.
You should if you have
because-
Game Pass, because you can report on it for us. I'm not
There's
going to buy
a
it, but
game
it looks fascinating.
that was just advertised to me on Steam recently called Drug Dealer Simulator. And okay, so the funny thing about this is when I was a kid, like 8, 9 years old, we had this old, like this, well, at the time, current-ish Windows computer down in our basement.
I was going, where is this story going?
Yeah, yeah.
We had this old drug dealer.
No, we had this old drug dealer in the basement. No, we had this computer in the basement, and we had like internet and like computers pretty early. Because my dad worked for AT&T, like laying internet lines, right around like the boom of everybody starting to get internet. So we had, like a computer in the basement. I was pretty computer literate at a young age, but my older brother had put a game on the computer that was like a DOS drug dealing simulator. Like it was all text based. It was really, I played it a lot. At like 8 to 9 years old in my basement, selling drugs in quotations. And I don't think my parents knew that game was on the computer, because if they did, they probably wouldn't have let me play it. I was like, yeah, I'm just playing on the computer. And then like my older brother's like, like giggling in the background, like, yeah, she's just playing on the computer.
This
Thought it was
story
hilarious.
needs to be a movie about the little girl that meets a real drug dealer and can explain everything he
Yeah,
does.
yeah. And so like I was playing this game at like 8, 9 years old. And then so I saw this game come up on Steam and I'm like, are these two things related? Like, is this a new version of that game? Like, I have no idea. But like it very well could be.
The sequel to the literal underground classic.
Yeah, I just don't know, because I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was just called like Drug Dealer Simulator or something, or like I have no idea, because it was that long ago. I was, 8.
And you don't want to put it into Google.
Yeah.
What's that video game that simulates dealing drugs?
Yeah, right. I did one of those to me once when they had Come Girl 18 on the lineup.
Yeah. It's like, how do you search for this to find an old like DOS game?
Video game. DOS.
But yeah, so I remember my friend and I sitting in the basement selling drugs on our old current computer, like in the dark.
God, I wish you could have had just have the parents overhear a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Like, crack, I didn't want that. Go back.
Yeah. So I'm so curious now. Like, are they related at all? Or is it just two completely different? I mean, obviously it's the same idea, but like, it's been decades. Did somebody else play this game as a child and then decide to remake it?
I can't wait to sell some more.
Gotta sell those drugs again. But yeah, it was a blast from the past, because I've never forgotten that game. But you know how memories just kind of go dormant in your head and you don't think about them? It was one of those. Like, I never forgot about the drug dealing game I played when I was like 8, 9 years old. But I also
didn't really think about
it. Yeah, and now suddenly it's back. The 2024, the year that
somehow the drug dealing simulator has returned.
Yeah, it's come back. It's found me.
The drug dealing returns. 2024. That's the motto we're sticking with.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, so I just
perfection.
Yep. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
The one thing I think everyone here needs to do is go see Poor Things. That's the one thing I would
say.
I
hear Poor Things is really good.
It's on my to watch list. Did you want to watch it, Corinne?
Tentative yes. Depends on when, because on Monday I'm going to Massachusetts.
Well, we'll go while you're at Massachusetts.
Okay, probably.
I'm watching it. Are you watching it?
We'll have a simul watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, very clever. It's one of the most original things I've ever seen. That's what I really appreciated about it. When you're watching, you're like, there's nothing like this. Like, if there is, I've not seen it because it's so different.
I mean,
I really, I just want to say that like the last couple of years have started to be really like some really good original movies coming out. And a lot of that is A24. Like A24 has been really a force for good in the movie scene. But I think just in general, like, I think there are just people who realized we need to make original ideas again.
People got sick of bullshit, and then even the awards started to be like, I think it's officially like the official end of that was like Everything All at Once wins Best Oscar. Like that, I would have never predicted.
Yeah.
And now we're like, oh, cool, crazy, unique, weird movies are cool. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love.
I mean, like even like, you know, more traditional like, say like an adaptation like Barbie is different, or even a period drama like Oppenheimer is different. And I also think for as far as Poor Things goes, it's kind of definitely reflective of that person's the director's work that I've seen. I saw The Favorite recently, which I really liked. I've also seen The Lobster before, which is really fucking weird.
I love that movie. It's so fucking strange.
I've heard about The Lobster and never watched it. I know it's right up my alley though, because it's fucking weird.
It's so strange.
It's so good, but Lithmos, I think is the last name of the director.
Yorgos Lanthimos, I think it is.
Yeah,
very creepy guy. Barry Kerrigan, creepy little Barry Kerrigan we talked about. He's in one of his movies called Killing of a Sacred Deer, where
that's what I'm going to watch.
He somehow plays an even creepier character than the one in Saltburn.
Oh, Barry. you creepy little dude, you.
My movie I want to make is I want to take Mia Goth and Barry Kerrigan, the two creepiest actors I know, and make that movie where they're a married couple just in a suburban neighborhood and no one knows.
I'm going to call it Creepy Marriage Story.
Yes. Take the creepy people and put them together, please.
Kind of relating to marriage, there is a new like Mr. and Mrs. Smith series coming out.
I saw that.
It looks good. I think this is a much better story / format for that sort of story than like.
I like the idea of rebooting a thing that didn't matter the first time.
Yeah. Like
you talking about the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a funny story with that movie, but I was visiting my aunt our great aunt in San Francisco at the time. And, she doesn't really know how technology works. And she's like, oh, let's go rent a movie. And it's like, okay. And we go rent a movie. It takes us like 30 to 35 minutes to get to the Blockbuster because that's how long ago this was. We rent a movie, we bring it back, and then we realize, oh, she doesn't have a DVD player.
Oh.
So then we went to go see Mr. and Mrs. Smith instead. And that's the story.
The movie that's only known for ruining a marriage.
But yeah.
Donald Glover, that sold me, basically.
Yeah, I was like, Donald Glover. Oh.
I'm actually kind of disappointed because, who the original co-star was going to be with him?
No, who?
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
That would have been great.
Yeah, I wanted that so bad, and she had to drop out due to something else, I'm sure.
Yeah, scheduling conflict probably. But I mean, the cast right now looks really good.
Oh, it looks good. I just wanted these like two very strange indie darlings to make this horrible murder marriage.
Yeah. Oh, it looks good. I'm excited for it because I think this is what I've been asking for, and a lot of people have been asking for a really long time. Don't remake movies that were already good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, remake things that could have been better, or should have been better, or like things that didn't make a mark, Be like, this was an interesting premise. Let's twist it a little, make it better, make it a great premise.
This is what I hope happens to the Purge eventually.
Yeah. Seriously. Man, what would I think about things like that? Like what I would give to see like a Purge movie done by A24.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's so many like franchises and movies that are like, okay, but like they could be so much better. And I think that if we're doing remakes, we should be doing them for things that could be so much better.
Mm-hmm.
See, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say there's so much untapped potential in a lot of like kind of shitty movies.
I'd say like it either has to be like remake something that was already not very good.
Yeah.
So remake something that was okay, like how you said, or remake something that was great, but just do something radically different with it, so that's new.
Don't rehash the same ground. You know, if you're gonna do something, do something.
This is why I liked the new Scott Pilgrim.
I was gonna say that's the perfect example of that.
Yeah, well, especially because it starts out the same and then is radically different, and I love that about it.
It's also kind of addressing a little bit of the flaws with the original, which is what I liked about it too.
Well, it's a meta commentary, it's a recontextualization, and it's a sequel.
Yeah, all at the same time.
All at the same time.
It's so well done. Highly recommend.
I just love spending time with some of the characters too. Like the episode with Chris Evans and what's his name that plays the boss in the original movie is so
Gideon.
Yes.
Well, I forgot what his other name was.
Yeah.
Gideon,
but yeah, them just throwing out.
Yeah, that was so
just
good.
watching anime, having water. Was it a water gun?
I think it was a paintball fight.
Yeah, paintball
fight. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I've been gone for 30 minutes.
Honk, motherfuckers.
Well, because all the characters were so interesting, and you didn't get a lot of time with them because the story revolved around Scott. And then
it was also a movie.
Yeah. And a movie don't have a lot of time. And if you go back and read like the original like format manga, American manga, comic.
I mean, I call it graphic novel just because it's American.
But... Yeah, it's very manga style, but like graphic novel, I guess. Like, trying to think of the right word for this. But it's like you spend so much time with Scott that like you kind of don't get to know the other characters as well. And then this in Scott Pilgrim takes off. Scott Pilgrim takes off, and we get to hang out with the rest of the characters, which I think is it was a really good idea.
Yeah,
it's also true that the people that complain about it, like they like Scott so much, like no, really watch the original. Scott always sucked.
Yeah,
Scott Pilgrim's
he was just very charming.
Remember, he's dating a teenager.
Yeah,
well, big plot point.
He's 31 in real life.
Well, and like the author was always like, yeah, no, Scott always sucked. It's just some people didn't have media literacy to understand that, so I had to make it more obvious.
Yeah, Scott's dating a high schooler. No, I'm not.
Yeah, he's just very charming about it.
Yeah.
He's Michael Cera. He does what he does.
Yeah.
Great show. Good show. Good.
Oh, and I just want to say for anybody watching, we're all very cold.
Yes.
See the Yeti?
It's -15. You might be able to hear it on the recording, but I'm close to my space heater because I'm in the basement right now.
And I'm dressed as Mothman because it's like the warmest thing I own.
I'm tempted to wear my shoes. My feet are cold. My feet are cold, and I'm wearing socks.
It's cold enough where you're like, I need an animal. Give me a cat.
It was so hard for me to get out of bed today because I had one cat here, a dog right here, and I was like, I have to get up so I can go talk about the stuff, but and then like it was funny because I had multiple alarms set and I kept falling back asleep because I was so cozy because I'd look at my phone for a while and be like, okay, I'm gonna get up, but then I would slowly fall down, and then Bevan's like, you're snoring again, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm awake.
I'm not asleep.
You gotta get up. I promise.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, it was so bad because I knew I had to go take a shower, and so like I had to go like immediately get up and then go get naked, and it's like that's the last thing I want to do. It's so cold.
I hate this.
Yeah.
I usually love showers, but not when it's this cold.
Yeah, and to be fair, our bathroom is very warm because it has a little heat, like the heat register in it. It's a very small room, so like it's one of the hottest rooms in the house. But still, just the idea of it was like, I have to get out of this nice, cozy, warm bed with all my pets, and then go systematically remove everything.
Take the heat away.
Everything that's keeping me warm right now. I don't think that sounds like a good idea.
No.
Just a bad plan.
I've been watching a few things. Yeah, I've been watching. I watched the first season of Reacher.
I haven't seen that yet. I've heard
It's
it.
fun. It is a fun mystery with a gigantic brick shit house of a man who's apparently a really good human.
Yeah.
Because he supports trans people. But which I'd be interested if someone tried to start a confrontation with him, with seeing as he's a brick shit house.
He looks like 3 Tom Cruises from those movies.
Yeah, he's a much more believable version of that character than Tom Cruise, because it's like he's super capable and he's intimidating as shit. But yeah, I recommend. I started season 2 yesterday, so I'm gonna try and get caught up on that. And then I have watched Percy Jackson. I have no attachment to the books.
I never even saw the original films.
Yeah, this series has the author's blessing, unlike those films.
I did know that part, which is why they're doing it again.
Yeah, it's pretty good. If you want like a fun YA fantasy, some of the acting is kind of wooden, but it's kids.
Yeah, they're young.
They
can only do so much.
Yeah, they're fine. But if you wanted to watch like a YA little fantasy series, it's pretty good. And I started watching Arcane. I hadn't watched it, so I'm on episode 3 now. So it's
Arcane is it's a masterpiece.
Apparently I didn't know that this happened. There was a 2019 reboot of Project Runway.
Okay.
That was on Bravo. And so back when I was in high school, I watched Project Runway pretty religiously. Not because I don't really like reality TV. I like shows where people make things. Like, I like watching things get made.
I like cooking shows for that reason.
Yeah.
I like BattleBots for reasons.
Yeah. BattleBots is just fun. But yeah, I like competition shows where people are making things. Because I like seeing what they come up with. I like the creativity. I like the ingenuity. I'm not really there for the cattiness. I'm not interested in that. I don't want the drama. I just want to see them make cool stuff. So I used to like Project Runway back in the day, even though it was one of the cattiest. Super catty. Apparently they brought it back in 2019, which I didn't know. I don't know if they only did one season. I don't know if they had to halt production because of the pandemic and never came back. I have no idea. There's only one season on Netflix. I have looked no further. But I watched that one season, and I have to say, if you liked watching people make clothes under tight time constraints and being really creative and having fun challenges, go and watch it, because most of the cattiness is gone. It the show realized how popular the Great British Bake Off was.
Yeah,
and
that's what
it was
say.
People are nice to each other and help each other, and generally speaking aren't bitchy. There's a couple bitchy people, but they're just literally they're designers. Of course some of them are going to be kind of bitchy, and they're also in really stressful conditions. Every once in a while someone's a bitch, but it's not like the big drama fest that it used to be, where it's just constantly everyone fucking with each other and people help each other, which never used to happen. When it used to happen, it happened once a season. Someone would help someone else. Whereas this season, it was everybody was helping each other, and because they all wanted to put their best foot forward, and they wanted to make sure that their competition was doing the same. And it was I prefer that,
right.
Help your competitor get their garment down the runway, because then that you're not winning because they didn't have enough time. You're winning because you had the better garment or whatever. But for anybody who did watch Project Runway back in the day, Christian Siriano was the youngest winner of Project Runway at the time, and he went on to have a really successful fashion career. He's back as the new mentor of the series. And it's really great to have him there as a piece of the old show, and one of the old judges is there as well. But one of the funniest things that happened was 2 different people were helping someone, doing last minute touches on somebody else's outfit, right before the runway, because something really bad had happened. And he's just standing there, looking very sassy. And he's back in my day, nobody helped each other. And I'm you're right, Christian, they didn't. And that's why I like this one better. And it was just, it's fun. I enjoyed it. I highly recommend for anybody who likes watching people make stuff. I don't know if there's any more seasons. I literally have no other information. But there is, one of the contestants is named COVID, and I feel so bad for him.
That's his birth name?
Yeah, it's his birth name with a K. So COVID. His birth name is COVID.
No, this aired before.
Yeah, this is before.
So no one was like had a COVID pandemic. Was like, we're gonna name him COVID.
Yeah.
That'd be a horrible.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. That's like Archer when the spy agency was ISIS.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this came out in 2019. Like, that's when it aired. So, like, when it was filming, no one had any idea. And then, like, it's airing. And then around the end of 2019, and it's like...
Awkward.
Like, the show's canceled because of your name.
It's not your fault, but...
But is it?
Hey, don't put that on him.
Yeah, no, he was the
No.
sweetest guy. He was a little spot of sunshine. Wonderful human. But yeah,
I like COVID.
Yeah, I liked him
COVID
so
was
much.
good.
But I felt real weird saying that.
The plot to take away from this episode: COVID good.
Yeah, COVID good. COVID fun. Yeah, and I can't imagine his life now. Like, I can't imagine how he feels. Like, imagine
for him.
like ordering at Starbucks.
Yeah,
You
I would
know?
change my name. I would.
Yeah,
Just straight up
like,
change
he
my name.
must go by a nickname now. Like, he must have had to find a nickname because
Kobe.
like,
Oh,
Just
God.
call me K. It's easier.
yeah, Covey, you know, maybe as a middle name. Like, it's just I can't imagine being named COVID in this day and age.
Rona.
Yeah.
Like my grandma's birthday was on 9/11, but she wasn't with it. So she had no idea why everyone was acting so weird about it.
Oh no.
It's like, you know what? I'm just not gonna tell you.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
need to
don't
know.
wanna
It's
ruin-
fine.
I feel so bad for that. Like that'd be a terrible birthday.
Yeah, there's gotta be a lot of younger kids too. It's like, it's not gonna get better. Sorry,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
Yes.
I also
We
did go
heal
see
as
the.
time moves on.
I did go see the Sphere. I'm sure you saw. That was a thing.
Oh yeah. You saw U2 at the Sphere in Las
did.
Vegas.
I did. It's
That looked. I was gonna say nuts, but I don't like saying nuts.
I don't. It's hard to describe. It's kind of like if you were in an IMAX, except the
In
floors,
real life.
ceilings, the walls are all screens and speakers, and they can blow scents into the room, and they shake the walls. I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like Ready Player One a little bit. Like, it's so next level that it's overwhelming at times. Like, you're looking around, and there's a different thing over here. Oh my god, it's coming from the ceiling. What's on my feet? It's like, and the whole time there's music playing. I'm like,
The sequel to The Floor is Lava. Everything is lava.
and the band notices that people are like, and they take a break for a while. I'm like thinking, like, what if Tool was playing here? People would die.
Yeah.
Like,
So
am I falling into an eyeball?
Because I'm watching people that are like drunk. I'm like, I can't. I'm like, and one girl's like, I took mushrooms. I'm like, you're real dumb for doing that.
yeah, I was about to say, what if the substances? That's not.
Don't do that because you
Don't
don't
do
need
that.
it.
Well, what if it's like the experience is so trippy that when you do drugs, it feels like it's normal. Like two negatives make a positive there.
I mean, maybe.
Like the 30 Rock episode where
Wait, there
Jenna's
needs to
trying
be some
make
study on this.
Jenna's trying to make a song Weird Al can't parody, so he becomes normal Al.
There is an entire Eddie Burback video about the Las Vegas Sphere. I highly recommend anybody watch it. As somebody who's experienced the Sphere,
Yeah.
you should watch it because you could get someone else see what Eddie thought of it. But it's very funny. He planned a Sphere-based vacation and got the Sphere Outlook room where you can see the Sphere from your bedroom. So the Sphere, but what he realizes is that it's not that you can see the Sphere, it's that the Sphere can see you at all
Yes.
times.
Yes. It's got faces sometimes, and it just kind of looks around.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd hate driving on the highway next to that thing.
Oh my
I'd
god!
be like,
How could you drive?
how
I
many
could see
car
it from the
accidents?
Airplane.
Yeah, that
How
is
many
brought up in the
plane
video.
accidents?
How distracting is this for drivers?
They run it 24/7.
Yeah. But yeah,
It's an Xbox ad. It's an Apple ad. It's there's
I saw
a
Seth
face.
Rogen at one point.
There's Planet Earth. An ad for Earth. I don't know.
All sorts of things. Yeah, it's a lot. It's like, honestly, if you two hadn't have taken breaks, I think it would have been a lot. Because at some point it's just like black and they're playing. I'm like, thank you. To which Tool says no.
Yeah, that sphere, like, it seems straight out of a dystopian novel to me. Like, just
A little bit.
right out of it.
I think right now, too, the YouTube concert is up on YouTube if you want to watch. I don't know how it's still up there, but for some reason they're just leaving it.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see, like, people are like...
Good advertisement?
I guess so, yeah. Like, the full show, I was watching bits of it before I went, and I was like, that's a lot.
I'm curious what Darren Aronofsky's thing was.
Oh, I know, I heard about that. I didn't go twice, but I've heard that he's doing a little thing with that. I'm like, that's going to fuck people up.
Yeah, it's a lot like, like the like, I think it was called like Flying USA or something like that. Like, it's at Disney World or Orlando, one of the parks, where like you're like strapped into like a little like seat, and it's like you're on a glider.
I remember that one.
Yeah, apparently Darren Aronofsky's thing is kind of like that, but in a big circular room. Like it's kind of like that, but bigger. Because, the Flying USA is only so big. Like, it's big, but it's not.
He makes me nervous because he makes fucked up things without the sphere.
You've seen my power without it. Now you will see it with it. I don't know.
You haven't even seen a quarter of my power.
Yeah, I don't know. And did you hear that somebody is trying to and or successfully making like a real version of Ready Player One? Like,
oh, really?
I heard about that, and it was once again, like the Torment Nexus, like. Did you hear? We're making the Torment Nexus from your favorite thing about how horrible the Torment Nexus is.
We're making the bad decision thing about the bad decision we made.
Yeah, well, and it's like how there's the real life Squid Game show.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah,
they made the fake version.
Yeah, like people don't die, but
this is what we're talking about.
Terrible. Just
media literacy
doesn't mean it's not terrible.
media literacy doesn't exist if you have enough money.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of the big problems we're seeing going into 2024. It's a severe lack of media literacy.
Yeah, I feel a little bit better because of the poor things of all these movies that are coming out that are becoming very critically well known, that are strange and interesting. But it'll be interesting to see where the Barbie goes from here.
Yeah, I mean, Barbie was so good.
It was, but I just know, we all know,
they're going to learn the wrong lesson.
Yeah, they're going to learn the wrong lesson from it.
It's what the entertainment industry does. They learn the wrong, I was about to say the long lessons, the wrong lessons.
The long lessons.
The Home Alone with the Mothman gloves is just...
They're so soft. And they keep my hands warm.
That's like an adorable version of the Babadook.
might be my favorite meme ever, that the Babadook is a gay icon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Babadook, yes. Queer icon.
Love it.
Why? Because why not?
Yeah. Well, it's just like how everyone knows now that Mothman is the hottest cryptid. Like, that ass. Yeah. Which is hilarious. It is so funny that the statue decided to give, like, the Mothman statue such cake when, in theory, anybody who's seen the Mothman has only seen him from far away, up high, flying, where you would not see his butt. So that was like an artistic choice because
that
they
statue
wanted.
man knows what he was doing.
Yeah.
Someone had binoculars.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, look at that butt."
Yeah. That
Picturing
butt
the archaeologist behind the design.
fantastic
Butt. But sexy, right? Got it.
Got it. Yeah,
That
and it's
ass.
just, it's so funny to me that Mothman has dad ass and everyone touches it, so now it's shiny.
Oh God! Of course they do.
Of course they do. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's so funny.
I feel like on that note,
Yeah, the Mothman ass.
we cannot top that Mothman ass.
No,
so,
that Mothman ass tops you.
Damn it! We have been topped. And on that note, thank you all for sticking to the end of this video and watching the Riley and Friends video podcast. If you liked the video, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. I was joined by my friends, Gabe and Corinne. Was there anything y'all wanted to plug at the end of this thingy-ba-dingy?
As always, I would like to plug my podcast, Wham Bam Thank You Man, available everywhere podcasts are podded. We read smut and romance novels, and we talk about them. And we also just talk about romance tropes. It's pretty ridiculous. It is a comedy podcast. Please keep that in mind. 18 plus only. Things get real dirty sometimes. Also, we just swear a lot, just constantly.
We condone swearing on this channel.
Yeah. Our next episode is our next episode is about a book called Our Favorite Songs, which is about it's like an enemies to lovers, but kind of a big misunderstanding where the two characters get snowed in together. So really relevant for our current situation here in the Midwest, where we're all snowed in. It's a really fun book, and a sad book and a heartwarming book and very short, but we had a great time with it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm really excited for that one. One of our less cursed episodes, but we are still cursed. So even if the book's not cursed, I mean, it still
comes through the video.
Yeah, it still comes through. It still comes through. Because we're all fucking ridiculous. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Check us out. We are the smuttiest, sluttiest podcast this side of literary analysis.
Excellent. Gabe, did you have anything?
Yeah, so today I have logged in from my gaming computer, as you can see. So I've been playing Baldur's Gate. So if you have any clown parts, I'm missing some clown parts. I've got a clown scrotum, a clown head, and some hands, but I need some feet. So you got to give me some clown feet. If you find any, that's what I'd like to plug. Just let me know. Looking for some clown feet.
All right. And with clown feet, we'll see you at the next one. Bye.